What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another episode of NBA Weekly. I'm your host, Pee Wee the Plug, and we have more trades. The Lakers have finally made a move. They're acquiring D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt in return for Russell Westbrook, Juan Toscano Anderson, Damian Jones, and a 2027 first-round pick. And the Minnesota Timberwolves are acquiring Mike Conley, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and 2 second-round picks. I'm going to come out and start the video like this. I do not think that this trade automatically makes the Lakers contenders overnight. I will just come out and say that. But what I will say is they do improve. One of the big things for me is the fact that they're getting 3 rotational players who are going to fill major holes for this team in exchange for 1 rotational player. Juan Toscano Anderson was not a high-level rotational player for the Lakers. Neither was Damian Jones. So you only really losing 1 rotational player in Russell Westbrook, and you only gave up 1 of those first-round picks. A lot of these trade scenarios that we had the Lakers linked to, whether it was the Pacers, the Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie, it involved both picks. So I have to give Rob Pelinka some credit and not giving up 2 first-round picks, especially when we're talking about trade negotiations with Danny Ainge, because we know how much Danny Ainge loves those first-round picks. So hats off to Rob Pelinka for keeping that 2029 first-round pick, which is now going to be his most valuable asset going forward for this Lakers team. As far as these players and the cohesion and the fit, D'Angelo Russell will be somewhat of an upgrade over Russell Westbrook. And the main thing is going to be the fit next to LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Russell Westbrook has struggled to shoot the basketball over the last few years, and this year in particular, he's been the worst three-point shooter in the NBA while shooting around 4 attempts a game. When you have LeBron James-led teams, the recipe to having success is to prioritize the three-point shooting. And this Lakers team do not have it. That's a big hole in this offense and this team in general. They just do not have the proper shooting around LeBron James. Also, with not having the shooters around LeBron James, his co-star is Anthony Davis, who has not been the shooter that we once saw him be in this league. His shot diet has changed where he's not taking a lot of threes anymore anyway. It's down to like 1 3 a game. And his jump shooting in general just hasn't been what we got accustomed to seeing Anthony Davis shoot. So now when you talk about a LeBron James team with Anthony Davis, and then you also throw Russell Westbrook out there, and I think that in itself adds another layer of friction. Because of the lack of shooting, because of the lack of fit, we saw different times where Russell Westbrook didn't close a game. He got pulled out in a pivotal part of the fourth quarter. Different things like that causes different emotions and frictions inside of a locker room, even if it isn't negative or any fights or anything like that. It can kill a player's confidence, and then a lot of the things that start to happen. And when you see Russell Westbrook pressing, and you just see it's just not a good fit, and a lot comes with that. I think getting that out the way and bringing in a D'Angelo Russell, who I think is, number one, going to be a much better fit on the floor because he's a much more reliable three-point shooting option than Russell Westbrook. And number 2, I think D'Angelo Russell is going to be able to fall under the guidance and leadership of LeBron James. Russell Westbrook came into the locker room as a former MVP. He came into the locker room as a future Hall of Famer. So with that, there's a certain level of respect that Russell Westbrook kind of didn't get because of the lack of fit. And I'm happy to see Russell Westbrook being able to get away from that situation, because I didn't want him to end his career or get identified in that role or make that be what we think of him as, because he's a much more valuable player in a better system or a better team that has more of a better fit. Russ definitely had his mishaps defensively and, some erratic play. But I think even with that, he showed flashes that he still has some left in the tank that can be added to a team that's in need of his services and that have a better fitting roster than the Lakers. Just off of that, D'Angelo Russell is going to be a better fit. I want to see D'Angelo Russell play off of LeBron James. I hope he can come in and make a lot of catch and shoot threes. Is D'Angelo Russell an off-ball star or anything like that? Absolutely not. But I also don't want to classify him as a straight-up ball-dominant player. D'Angelo Russell isn't a Luka-level player or anything like that, so I think him and LeBron James will find a healthy balance of playing off of each other where LeBron can get him shots and he can set up Anthony Davis in a pick and roll because D'Angelo Russell is a gifted passer. But this is a big stage for him. He's getting back to a team that's playing at high stakes. He's never played with this type of talent. The one time he did play in Golden State, there were a lot of injuries. That was what Golden State's worst year. He got traded quickly to Minnesota. So coming in, playing with LeBron, there's super high expectations. He's on an expiring year of his deal, so this is a big second half of the season coming up for him. So it's important that he plays his best brand of basketball going into free agency. Now when we talk about another glaring hole is the overall three-point shooting of the Los Angeles Lakers, and I think Malik Beasley comes in and fills that void. He showed that he can come off the bench and he can light it up, and he's willing to take 9 to 10 three-point shots a game. And the Lakers have needed a sniper of that caliber for a very long time. That extra added depth is going to go a long way for them. When you talk about a starting lineup of potentially D'Angelo Russell, Lonnie Walker, LeBron, Rui, Anthony Davis, you now have a bench with Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, Thomas Bryant, Max Christie, Troy Brown Jr. There's a lot more different options and a lot of different type of players, and that three-point sniper has been needed. That void right there is a big-time pickup for them because, like I said, LeBron James teams, the recipe is to have three-point shooting, and I think Malik Beasley can give you a lot of that off of the bench, and there could be some nights where we see him end up starting because if he's shooting the ball well and he's rolling, there's no reason to not start him next to LeBron James and Anthony Davis going forward. And then last but not least, Jared Vanderbilt. Jared Vanderbilt is the type of player that every playoff team or every team trying to get to the playoffs is looking for. He's a low-maintenance offensive guy who can sit in the corner and knock down corner three-point shots, and he's going to do all the other dirty work that you need to win and compete at the highest level. He's going to offensive rebound. He's going to clean the glass on the defensive side of the basketball. He has switchability. He's versatile on the defensive end of the basketball. He can push it, can make a couple plays here and there. I think he's going to be another valid piece for them off of that bench, and that's something that's going to take them into a situation where we can see them competing for a legitimate playoff spot and not just trying to hold in onto a play-in spot. So the Lakers upgrade significantly. You get depth. You get sniper shooting and Malik Beasley, and you get a point guard who's going to fit a lot more better next to LeBron James and Anthony Davis than Russell Westbrook did. In turn for the Jazz get Russell Westbrook, who we are thinking or expecting to buy out anytime now. And then there's been linked rumors to Russell Westbrook that he's getting interest from the Bulls, the Clippers, and the Heat. That's very interesting to me, and I can't wait to see which one he ends up with. But it's definitely going to be interesting one way or another, especially if he ends up across the hall from the Lakers with that Clippers team. That's going to be a nice little rivalry and some extra fuel to that fire of Russell Westbrook that we know is burning inside of him to prove that he's a much more better player than what the Lakers positioned him to look like. Juan Toscano-Anderson and Damian Jones added in pieces that are just going to play on the Jazz roster for the rest of the year and probably get dealt in something else, or they'll just leave in the offseason. The most prized possession of this is the fact that they get their 15th first-round pick, which is the 2027 first-round pick from the Lakers. Danny Ainge is doing it again. We saw this happen when he was with the Celtics. He stashed all of those draft picks, and those draft picks turned into quality players who we now see leading the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference right now, and is looking like an Eastern Conference favorite to represent them in the finals for a second consecutive year. So Danny Ainge is getting all of his stuff ready for Utah. They got Lowry. They got Walker Kessler over there. They got some other pieces that look tradable. We'll wait and see. And they got a stockpile of draft picks, and they're competing right now for a play-in spot. So we can see them in the lottery, depending on how the second half of this year goes. We can see them over the next few years using these draft picks to continue to build a nice, young, fun team. And then they'll also have a boatload of picks to put together if in a few years we get a disgruntled star. So the Utah Jazz are a team to watch as far as rebuilds are going. They got some young talent. They're going to accumulate more talent in the draft, and they're going to have the assets to go out and make a big splash when the time is right. So I love the direction that the Utah Jazz are going in right now. And if I was a Utah Jazz fan, I would be very, very excited for the future. So hats off and salute to Danny Ainge. The last piece of this trade, the Minnesota Timberwolves. I really think they're an underrated team in this trade. I think Mike Conley is the exact type of point guard that the Minnesota Timberwolves are looking for. And I think his experience in playing with a guard like Donovan Mitchell in his early years in Utah can roll over and transfer to playing with a guy like Anthony Edwards. I think this type of leadership and this type of voice and this type of steady, legitimate floor general point guard play is going to carry over into this team and be a very, very big get. D'Angelo Russell wasn't bad or the worst option to have, but I think Mike Conley is going to be a lot more steady in what you're going to get as far as being a floor general and being a leader on the floor for them. There's some familiarity there with Rudy and Mike Conley already. And again, I think his voice and playing next to Anthony Edwards is not going to be that big of an adjustment because he has the experience in playing with Donovan Mitchell. And I think this could be a big get for the Minnesota Timberwolves for the second half of the season for them to make a playoff push. So I love everybody in this trade walking away with what they needed. The Lakers made upgrades. The Jazz got their first round pick and are going to buy out Russell Westbrook to get him to where he wants to go and where he thinks is the best fit for him. And then the Minnesota Timberwolves, they get a guy who's going to come in, be a floor general, make open shots, and be able to play off of Anthony Edwards, control this team, get them organized, and has familiarity playing with Rudy Gobert to get the best out of him so they can catapult into being a strong, steady playoff team out west. This is a lot. A lot is going to continue to go on. Hopefully we get more and more of these deals tomorrow, as we are, how many hours away? We're less than 24 hours away from the trade deadline. So I'm hoping throughout the night we just keep getting these, and I'll just be staring at this camera all day for the next 15 hours until this trade deadline is over. As always, I am Pee Wee the Plug. If you are a Laker fan, a Timberwolves fan, or a Jazz fan, please let me know your opinions and your thoughts about these trades. If you're a Russell Westbrook fan, even if you're not a fan of any of these teams or any of these players, what do y'all think is the best fit for Russell Westbrook? Do y'all think it's the Bulls? Is it the Heat? It's the Clippers? Y'all let me know in the comments. And again, y'all stay locked in, turn on those notifications, and get ready because more videos are coming. More trades are coming. I'm excited. I hope y'all are too. I'm out. Peace.